Hello and welcome to another video on the Grimwood Watch Modern channel, and today I have my most anticipated buy of 2020, the Zelos Horizons V2 GMT. Now when this actually was released, the blue meteorite version which I have here sold out within half an hour, and I was one of the lucky 50 people to get my hands on one. However, I waited over a month to get it because this was the actual last one to get shipped, and it came through the door, and when I opened it I was a bit disappointed, and I will get into the reasons why. But firstly, let's just show you what you get with the kit. You obviously get your nice wooden cigar box, which is off screen at this moment in time. This lovely faux leather watch roll. We get a tropic leather strap with the Zelos buckle on there, as you can see. 1 year warranty card, as you can see from there. It would be nice to have an extra year warranty, but to be honest, Zelos's customer care is absolutely superb. Elshin is great. I've dealt with him a couple of times and he is faultless. And obviously you get the Horizon V2 GMT blue meteorite, and this is pre-fitted with the stainless steel strap, which is absolutely superb. And we've obviously got the 2893 ETA movement in the back there. So with that quick overview done, let's delve into this watch and take a closer look. First things first, let's start off with the specification. So the case diameter is 40mm, we've got a lug-to-lug of 45mm, we have a thickness not including the domed crystal of 11mm, and we've got a lug width of 20mm. In the back we're on a Swiss ETA 2893 movement with a custom rotor. We also have 200 meters of water resistance. Crystal is a sapphire box domed crystal, as you can see there, adding another 2.5mm to the thickness. The bezel itself is a bi-directional 48 click mounted ball bearing one with full loom all the way around. It's also slightly smaller than the case at 38.5mm. We have a 316 stainless steel case. This version has obviously the blue meteorite dial, which does look nice in some lights, but we'll get onto the reason why I am not a big fan of this particular dial. We also have a signed crown and a stainless steel bracelet. So with the specifications out of the way, let's move on and have a look at the aesthetics and the reasons why I dislike and like this watch. So I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to get straight off my chest why this watch disappointed us straight out of the box, and it's staring you in the face. It's the dial. Now when I went and bought this, obviously we had renders on the Zelos page. I'm going to show you a picture of it here on the right hand side, which kind of showed the watch, and in my mind showed it with a couple of shades lighter of blue. Now obviously that is a CAD render, it's not the actual watch that was made, because at the moment in time these were released they hadn't got out of the production stage as far as I know. And if you actually look between the plain meteorite and the blue meteorite, the dial's basically exactly the same, it's just got a slight change of colour on the dial. It's been photoshopped basically, but I can forgive it for that because these were pre-release kind of photos of the watch. However, I was more expecting it to come out like my Zelos blue meteorite swordfish I have here, where the actual dial shines through in no matter what light. As you can see there, bright light, dim light, you can see that meteorite pattern absolutely superbly, and I love this watch for it. But as you can see with the actual Horizon 2, you have to pretty much get it into direct light to actually see the patternation of the meteorite. But even then, when you get it into bright light, the patternation seems a bit kind of more subdued than the swordfish version I've got. Now the other thing is, meteorite dials are unique between every watch because you can't get the same patternation between every cut of meteorite. It's like a fingerprint, and I think I've been a bit unlucky with my dial because it's got quite a few flat spots. As you can see in between the 2 and the 10 o'clock, there's a nice big flat spot there, and down at like the 4 to the 6, the pattern just doesn't jump out at you, and I think that's just the section of meteorite that I've got in this watch. I can't blame the watch for that, that's just luck of the draw. However, 90% of the time you cannot see that this is a meteorite dial. It just looks gloss black, gloss dark blue, and it looks like a standard dial, which you pay the premium for looking at the dial and thinking, whoa, that's a nice bit of meteorite. But with this watch it just doesn't kind of do that in my mind. But don't let that distract you. That's my own opinion, and that's basically me putting my preconceptions of what this watch was going to be based on my original Zelos Horizons Aventurine and also my Swordfish Blue Meteorite, which to be honest wasn't fair for me to put on the watch initially. The rest of the watch, however, has got a lot of good points, and this watch is an outstanding watch for your money, so don't let that initial kind of rant put you off this watch, and I'll get onto the reason why now. So with me rant out of the way about the biggest reason I dislike this watch coming out of the watch roll, let's move on to the rest of the view. Now I've already gone over the material of the dial, let's have a look at the rest of it. So it's typical Horizons format. We have a triangle indice at the 12, 3 and 9 o'clock positions. The rest of them are ingots with this minute track going all the way around the outside. At the 6 o'clock we have a date window which is colour matched to the dial, which is a nice touch, and it also makes the actual watch look very symmetrical. I do love 6 o'clock date windows, so all honesty I cannot pick fault with that, and it's also got very good lume, which I will show you later on. We have a Zelos logo at the 12 o'clock, and down there at the 6 o'clock, as you can see, we've got GMT in yellow and 200 meters water resistance in red. Moving up to the handset, it's a pretty standard looking handset, but it's big, it's bold. It means reading the time is very easy against that dial, which is what you want in any timepiece. We have a GMT hand there with a lovely bit of yellow on the actual arrowhead, and yellow and blue go together like nothing else in my mind. It is a very good combo, and it's a very contrasting combo. And it's also colour matched to the indices on your chapter ring. And then we have that lovely second hand which complements the whole set there, yet again with a nice bit of lume at the tip, which I will show you later on. Moving up to the bezel, and this is another area that has changed, but in this case for the better. Now action wise it's been changed to a 48 click bi-directional, which means you can basically sit it on any of the 24-hour marks and in between, which you couldn't do with the last one because that was 60 clicks, so you sometimes were sitting between kind of hours if you were trying to adjust it in between 12 and 9 or 12 and 3, yada yada yada, so that is an improvement. The other thing that's changed is the grips and also the thickness. So if I bring in my Horizons 1 here, we can see the actual bezel itself is slightly thicker. The thinner bezel does make the watch look a bit more vintage. The insert itself is also fully lumed. On the bottom the actual background is lumed, on the top the actual numerals are lumed, which looks great. When I'll show you the lume shot, it is absolutely spectacular looking. Don't get me wrong, in the dark though you can't read it, but it does look good. But yes, overall the bezel is a win-win for me, and I think this is one of the areas which has had a big improvement. Moving on to the crystal, and we've got this lovely bit of box sapphire sitting on top of this Horizons 2, and to be honest I actually quite like the way it looks. Now it does raise the overall thickness of this watch up by 2.5mm to give you 13.5mm of total thickness, but in all honesty I don't mind that for the look. The only problem is with this crystal is it takes away some of the functionality of the watch, because you cannot see that chapter ring due to the outer edge distortion. You have to tilt your wrist, but like I say, I touched on that before. It is a little kind of quirk, little kind of design flaw, but in all honesty I would still not skip this watch for that, because you just tilt your wrist around and you can see that chapter ring quite clearly. So lume wise for the Horizon, well, what can I say? Typical Zelos, it's absolutely amazing. You've got obviously a mixture of C3 and X1 Swiss Luminova in there, and it just lasts all night long. The best bit of this watch, I think though, is the bezel insert. For the daytime hours as I class them, you've got a fully lumed background with the numerals just in basically plain, so it makes a silhouette. And then for the top half, the numerals are obviously fully lumed with the background basically being the silhouette themselves. Don't get me wrong, at night personally I can't see them, so it is pretty pointless, but it does look good in all honesty, and I do find myself staring at it the few times I have had this in the dark. So lume wise, top marks. Case wise, as I said before, it's 316L stainless steel, and it's basically done yet again flawlessly like every other Zelos watch I've had. The brushing is spectacular, the polishing on the chamfers is superb, the way the actual end link of the bracelet fits in, it just all looks very, very nice indeed. And it's all kind of topped off by this lovely Zelos signed crown here. There's no lume on this crown, however, it still looks absolutely superb. And one nice little touch that I love, might be total pot luck, the Zelos logo does actually line up when the crown is fully screwed in, which I absolutely adore. Moving on to the back of the watch, and as we can see, we have that lovely ETA 2893 movement ticking away in the back. We have that lovely customised rotor showing basically a whole flat image of the world, and underneath that rotor we also have a decorated movement. Now, some of these watches actually came, some of the versions I should say, came without a decorated movement in, so I don't know if this is just an older batch that Elshin had got his hands on and he's put in some of the actual watches to kind of take it up, or even these have gone into the Meteorite versions because they're slightly premium. I don't know, but it is a difference I have been told is happening between these Horizons 2. However, the majority of the time you're not going to be able to see that anyway, and the movement is second to none. Obviously we do have a few little bits around the outside such as sapphire crystal, stainless steel. This version of the watch is actually 20 out of 50 as well, which is a nice touch. I like nice round numbers. But with all that out of the way, let's have a look at the actual bracelet. The bracelet of this watch is phenomenal. It's exactly the same feeling wise as the original Horizons 1, which I do have a bracelet for. It's got lovely chamfers on the actual outside, all the edges are taken off so it's snug as a bug on your wrist. We have polish now on the outsides, we've got brushing on the top. The actual clasp is yet again excellent as well, fully milled, and micro adjusts just coming out of everywhere. We've got more than enough micro adjusts on that clasp as well, which to be honest a lot of Zelos clasps have. It is a nice feature to have. They're also fully screw in pins to adjust it, and the actual end link matches into the case absolutely spectacularly. And I think it's actually very complex the way they did this, because they could have just flattened it all off and just made it match with a flat surface, but Elshin hasn't. He's actually brought the surface of the case down slightly, chamfered it, and then matched that into the actual end link. It's these little design features on Zeloses that I absolutely adore, and this watch just knocks it out the ballpark with that. So let's quickly touch on the other strap option for this Zelos Horizon 2, and in this case you get a tropic rubber strap, and I've got many of these for the rest of the Zeloses in my collection and I absolutely love them. They're very supple, they fit on the wrist absolutely superbly, and they look spot on with the majority of watches. And you also get this lovely big chunky stainless steel clasp with or buckle I should say, with the Zelos logo stamped on the edge of it. It is very nice. The only thing I find with these is the actual retainers do tend to actually lose the strap, and I think it's because of this pattern on the outer edge acts like a bit of a ratchet, so it kind of keeps popping along one until the actual end of the strap does come out. However, it's just one little kind of niggle that I do have with this strap, but overall these are superb to wear. So if you're not a fan of the bracelet, or you want it to look like more sporty of a watch, stick this on, you will not be disappointed. So here is the Zelos Horizons 2 on my 6 3/4 inch wrist, and what can I say, like the Horizon 1, this is the holy grail of watches for my size of wrist. It fits absolutely superbly. The bracelet is just manufactured second to none. The finishing is great, the feel is great. It feels like I am not wearing a watch at all. There's just a bit of weight on my wrist, and that's how good of a fit these are. And this is the same story most of the time with Zelos bracelets and watches. The other thing to keep in mind with the bracelet versions of these, your lug to lug effectively gets extended out because your actual hinged link sits away from the case by a couple of millimeters on each side. So if you do want a tighter fit to your wrist, stick it on that tropic rubber strap and you'll get effectively a shorter lug to lug wear of this watch. So without that out of the way, let's move on to my final conclusions. So my final thoughts on the Horizons 2 GMT Blue Meteorite. Well, in all honesty, it is an absolutely amazing watch. It is perfection to wear, it does look good, and it's got that vintage vibe, but the thing that gets me is just that dial. It just doesn't kind of pop the way I wanted to, especially when I paid a little bit more premium to get the Blue Meteorite dial. I was expecting something like my Swordfish Blue Meteorite, where you can just see the patternation in every single light, built into a case such as my original Horizons Aventurine right here. But I just don't think I got that at all, but that's my own issues. That's nothing to do with the watch itself, and I shouldn't hold that against it. The other thing is, I class the original Horizons as basically the perfect watch for my wrist, and I was betting on the Horizons 2 being even more than that, but it wasn't. Some of the design cues I'm just not gelling with, such as the chapter ring not actually being as big as it used to be, and also that box crystal kind of taking the whole look away from the actual GMT function, because you can't see it unless you tilt the watch. What I would personally love to see, and if I could get this done to this watch, I would have it all day long, is a flat crystal put in here so you can actually see the chapter ring. Keep that traditional kind of vintage thin bezel, and also maybe a different dial so I had a bit more patternation on there and a few shades lighter, just so you could actually see it like me Swordfish. However, that's something that I'm not going to be able to do, so chances are in the next couple of days I'm going to be flipping this watch or trading it for another one, because I just can't gel with it, and I can't justify having money in a watch such as how much I put into this that I'm not going to wear as much as two other watches that are actually cheaper and I got before it. So that's my conclusions in all honesty. If you're going to buy it though, it is a great fabulous watch for the money. You get a lot of spec with it. Please put in the comments below though, would you buy this Zelos Horizons 2? Would you get a different colour scheme, or would you stick with the blue Meteorite, or would you just go for another company altogether? If you have liked this video, please subscribe, like the video, press that bell icon for future notifications, and as always, keep safe and I will see you soon.